Dan Beaver. Dan is the project manager for Yahoo Sports for their NASCAR live game and is also a freelance writer in NASCAR. Is going to be a regular guest here on Pit Row every week. Dan, welcome from sunny Arizona. Hope it's sunny there. It's snowing here in the Midwest.
It's windy here today. We're getting a cold front blowing through. It'll be probably down in the, chilly 50s. Before too terribly long. So
I feel so bad for you.
and with all due respect to Ed Pankow, he's the project manager at Yahoo. I'm the project manager at NASCAR.com.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I write down Yahoo? Okay,
because you wrote it wrong.
No, I'm sorry. That's my bad. My bad. No offense to anybody involved there. Okay. So anyway,
I still write for Yahoo, and I write for NASCAR.com as well.
So you're the project manager for NASCAR.com for the NASCAR fantasy game at NASCAR.com, right? Is that right? Do I have it right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Dan. We gotta. Let's get
to this. It's only an hour show, Charlie, while you try to figure this scrap out.
All right. So now that I've totally botched this segment, Dan, let's talk a little fantasy racing at Daytona. I know when we talked yesterday on the phone, you said one of the most popular questions you've gotten was, how do you think Danica's going to do? And you said, well, tell everybody what you said.
I would rank Danica right up there with Jimmy Johnson and Joe Nemechek. This is Daytona, and anybody's got a shot. Stay out of the big one crash. Get a push at the end, and you could be Trevor Bayne for the year.
There you go.
Is it telling at all, Dan, I don't mean to interrupt, but is it telling at all that I saw that Danica Patrick was 125-1 in Vegas to win the Daytona 500 a week and a half ago, and now she's 22-1? Does that influence you at all?
No.
Okay.
I think that says more about the power of the media on those odds than it does on a driver's true chance. This has always been an incredibly difficult sport to handicap. If everything goes right, you can put a driver in the top 10, you can put a driver in the top 5. There is really no way, unless it's a Martinsville and you're talking about Jeff Gordon in his heyday, there's really no way to predict that winner with any kind of great accuracy. So the best we can do is make our best guesses. Get those drivers that are consistently going to finish in the top 10, get the top 5s, get that occasional victory, and you're going to win your fantasy league.
Looking at, we're going to put you on the spot before we let you go today, and have you. I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up. We're going to ask you to predict the Sprint Cup champion this year, which since you're going to be here every week, you can live and die with us with those picks, as we always do. We don't do a whole lot of show prep, Dan. Just so you know, we've been doing this show for 12 years. It's kind of everything's kind of like
14 years.
14 years.
I've been doing it 14. You've been sleeping through 2.
Yeah. So you may get thrown a curveball every once in a while. Just giving you a heads up right now. But looking at if you're looking at the Yahoo game, which is I think probably still the most popular fantasy NASCAR game out there, who would you line up for your Yahoo team for Daytona this week?
Well, I've been doing this for 11 years now. This is my 11th season handicapping races, and most of those, all of those I've written for NASCAR.com. Most of those I've written for Yahoo. And my suggestion where Yahoo's concerned has always been the same. Don't take anybody at a restrictor plate superspeedway that is more predictable on another course. Even if Jimmy Johnson had a good restrictor plate superspeedway record, you would avoid him at Daytona because you know you're going to exhaust him on the unrestricted intermediate speedways.
Yeah.
You know you're going to exhaust Denny Hamlin on the short flat tracks and some of the bigger flat tracks. So there's no benefit, even if they finish in the top 5, top 10, there's really no benefit to putting them on your roster. You're going to look for those drivers that have good superspeedway records and aren't going to be exhausted someplace else. Matt Kenseth would be my top pick. Actually, Matt Kenseth is my top pick this week, regardless of the game. But he'd definitely be my top pick for Yahoo because with the new team, he's going to be a little more unpredictable. Joe Gibbs is good on the unrestricted intermediate speedways, but they're not infallible. And you look back at Matt Kenseth's records last year, and he happened to have swept the top 5 in the 4 restrictor plate super speedway races, including a victory in the Daytona 500 and the Fall Talladega race. So that one's fairly easy to do. But then you look a little bit further back, and he had one top 5, one top 10 even in the last 7 restrictor plate super speedway races in 2010 and 2011. So there's no guarantee there. You got to start someplace though, so you may as well start with last year's results.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I would also think I don't have the Yahoo breakdowns in front of me. I don't know who the A and B drivers are this year, but I would think, is Boyer an A driver?
Boyer is an A driver. Yep.
See, he would be I like Kenseth here too, but I think Boyer might have been the guy I would take.
Boyer's up there too, and one of the nice things about the Daytona 500, where Yahoo is concerned, is you don't get that locked in before qualifying state, where you do with every other race. So you can get through the duels at Daytona in the next couple of weeks and make your picks then. It still doesn't matter. There's nothing predictive about the plate tracks. You're making your best guesses at best, and you're going from there.
Okay, so looking forward then towards the B drivers, who would you think at this point? I assume you go with the same kind of thinking there. There are drivers there in the B that you don't want to use up at a plate track as well, right?
Yeah, the exact same philosophy. Don't use up anybody that you know is going to be predictable a little bit later. In Group B, I would say that Dale Earnhardt Jr. had an uneven season last year, and he's great on the plate tracks when he stays out of trouble. There's no guarantee that he's going to stay out of trouble, but he's got as good a shot as anybody else. He's definitely one of those top picks. Jeff Burton is the only other driver except Matt Kenseth who swept the top 10 last year on plate tracks. He also had a second-place finish in the Fall Talladega race of 2011. So it gives him 5 consecutive top 5 finishes. Last year, both Daytona, or top 10 finishes, rather. And last year, both Daytona races were top 5s. So you're not going to use Jeff Burton again throughout the season. If you do, it's going to be because he's defied predictions and that team really got on a roll. But otherwise, you're probably not going to have too many opportunities to use him this year. So you're going to use him this week. If he finishes in the top 10, you're going to use him in the spring Talladega race. If he finishes in the top 10, you're going to keep going with the slate races. And if he wrecks it in any of those races, you're probably going to dump him because momentum can change on a dime. So as soon as he loses the momentum, he'll probably lose it for quite some time on the plate tracks. So my 2 picks in Yahoo B would be Junior and Jeff Burton.
All right, we got about a minute, so we need a quick overview of the C drivers. Then I need your prediction. Who's going to win the Sprint Cup 2013?
Michael Waltrip, hands down in C. He was going to win that race at Talladega in the fall if he hadn't been blocked by Tony Stewart, and he had 2 top 10s in the 3 plate races prior to that, or in his 3 races prior to that. Again, he's not someone that you're going to exhaust later on in the season, so he's a good driver. Mm-hmm. David Gilliland, I think, would be another solid pick. Travis Klopp would be another solid pick.
Yeah, both of those front row guys have done well on plate tracks.
And for the season, I think last year I picked Joey Logano, something like that. So I'm not sure that I would put any huge weight on what I say about who's going to win the championship.
Well, trust me, you're in good company here.
I don't know if I picked him, but I thought Logano would make the chase. Yeah. I think Carl Edwards is going to have a good year. I think Jimmy Johnson is going to be back at the top of the order. So if you put a gun to my head and I've got to pick a driver, I'm going to go with Jimmy Johnson.
There you go. Dan, he is Dan Beaver, and he is the project manager for Fantasy Sports for NASCAR.com. Also writes Fantasy Sports for Yahoo.com, and will be a regular contributor and guest here at On Pit Row. So, Dan, thanks a lot. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy those balmy 55-degree nights in Arizona, and we'll just chill it out here in the 20s in the Midwest.
I lived in Minneapolis for a number of years, so I feel your pain, but from a long distance.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Take care, Dan.
Goodbye.
Right, Dan Beaver. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Fantasy Race and read, because he's really one of the top 3 or 4 fantasy experts in NASCAR fantasy sports that you can find. So you're going to get good stuff if you need some help with your picks.